Hello Duelist, it's Tombox here, dressed up to go to some party. Anyways, if you've been playing online lately, or if you've been playing, well, at your locals and there's one guy that's playing Trickstar, well, you have been experiencing the following. You either got FTK'd by being burned to death as such, or they ripped your hand apart like this. Now, I know in my last video I did a poor job explaining it because I kind of expected people to read the text up top, and perhaps I actually cut off some of my own voice. But I recorded myself doing the combo with the disturbance strategy happening at the beginning. The text does say disturbance strategy. The last thing that happened was cards being added to hand. And now re-demo the combo. Hopefully that clears up the misconception of this is actually in response to a previous chain that resolved in a card being added. Now, I can say that the community definitely hates FTKs because it doesn't promote any sort of card interaction between you and your opponent. Now, with that being said, I tried out the deck just to see if there was any weaknesses, and I have to say this: if you are pulling off the FTK every single game, I would have to call you a stacker, because the odds are actually, well, although as good as they may be, as long as you tailor your deck to turbo to the FTK, it's still not going to be 100%. And if you get 100% of it, well, I'm going to be questioning that. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that the deck needs to FTK. It can still grind you down. I've grinded many people down over like multiple turns just so that they get to the point where they cannot even draw a single card. And I am still burning them to death. I am taking a bit of damage in exchange, but that doesn't mean the FTK should happen every single game. But of course they can choose the two routes. If they choose the correct route, that can actually ruin your day. Anyways, go on to the weaknesses. Now, the first weakness is going first. They need to go first to enable themselves to gain the massive advantage, and they get a much bigger advantage compared to any other decks because they can actually rip your hand apart before you even get a chance to play. Now, the burning usually comes from Trickstar Licorice, the red girl. She's the main burner, and she requires you to have cards in your hand to actually engage into that burning FTK, the OTK, whatever you want to call it. And by simply just by playing cards and emptying out certain cards in your hand, you can just put it onto the field and you're still good to go. This is not like you're playing against, say, Chain Burn, which they can use Secret Blast to kind of mill you down. I don't think most of them even run Secret Blast, so that's not going to be an issue. So as long as you're playing your cards, you're emptying out your cards, the reincarnation, the disturbance strategy definitely will not burn you to death, even if they open with the exact same combo. With that said, they do have one card that can screw you a little bit over, which would be Present Card, which would refill your hand. But if you play cards like Twin Twisters, if you play stuff, even Cosmic Cycle, you might be taking 1000 damage, but that's a lot less compared to how much they will burn you if they have Dark Room of Nightmare. And you might as well just flip it on the Dark Room of Nightmare, because the Dark Room of Nightmare will burn you to death. It will push for that extra gap, maybe an extra 24 or 2800 damage, and that will kill you. So just by playing cards and having, I guess, spells and traps that do have cost, that are that spell speed 2, so you can use it on your opponent's turn, or even hand traps for that matter, that will actually mitigate some of the damage that is going to be done to you. Now, the second weakness about them is that they are really dependent on searching. If you can prevent them from searching at all, like they can search a reincarnation, they can search Licorice, they can search Candina, they can search Light Stage, they can basically search their entire deck to establish their combo that basically kills you. And if they are lucky enough to not need that, well then, that's their RNG. That's like literally drawing most pieces to go into Exodia right from the get-go. But if they are unable to get that set up, one early drone Logbird, say on the Light Stage or on the Terraforming, and the combo kind of goes to crap because they will probably have a Candina that's not able to search a Licorice, or they don't have the reincarnation available, or they have like a Pot of Desires that they can't even activate anymore. Basically, because the first thing is, they're not going to activate Pot of Desires as the first card. That's not going to happen because they obviously want to thin out their deck, get the combo pieces first, before they aim to draw the redrawing cards. And since one early draw on Lockbird basically buys you a whole turn, it's as if they went second, again, making them not go first, and that's not exactly a strong board. Of course, if they still open with like 2 Licorice and everything, and they don't even need the light stage, well, then they have it, they got the nuts. But aside from that, their consistency is super dependent on searching, and if you can hit that, well, they're screwed. And the third weakness that I actually experienced with the deck, and this actually got me killed pretty badly, was I went second. It didn't, like, I thought it would be okay because I had the combo in hand anyway, and they didn't have Joe and Lockbird, whatever, and they had no back row. I thought it'd be okay, but what I really got screwed over with was a Vanity Spin. The guy who was playing Monarch, he dropped the Vanity Spin, so the lack of special summoning does hurt. And you're like thinking, well, can't you just use Chain Summoning? Chain Summoning's the combo. See, the way that the Chain Summoning combo usually kind of starts off is that you normal summon the Candina, and then with the Licorice in hand, you chain the Licorice to make it Chain Link 2, and then you can have a Chain Link 3 of Chain Summoning, and therefore you can get everything you want and then FTK them. Well, or OTK, sorry. But the thing is, with Vanity Screen, I can't activate the Licorice, making it very, very difficult to establish the Chain Link 2, and I don't think I have enough quick play cards to force the Chain Link 2 to kind of get the whole thing going. And even with that, with the Vanity Speed kind of blocking me from special summoning, I can't put the Licorice on the field. I have to normal summon them one at a time, which means that I'm not normal summoning the Candina back onto the field and getting that surge. Overall, and I can't run over the Vanity Fiend unless I have a copy of Honest in my hand. So locking out special summoning and the lack of board removal definitely hurts. So definitely keep that in mind. Now let's go over several cards that are very good at preventing you from dying from burning or FTK. You know, the FTK can actually be minimized, especially if you side deck correctly. And how do you actually do that? Well, first of all, the cards that you would need would be the cards that help you survive, and the best way to survive is actually to prevent the combo from being established. So Draw and Lockbird is definitely on my #1 list to prevent myself from dying. If you can Draw and Lockbird them on, say, the Terraforming, that prevents the future searches from coming out, say additional light stages, Candina. Basically the whole deck is reliant on searching, and preventing the search is super, super important. So basically you lock them out from searching, and that is gonna be the most effective way of surviving. Unless of course they're sacked and they already had everything and they didn't even need to search anything, so Draw and Lockbird might not work anyway. But that's just me, you know, being... Okay, so another thing to consider would be Ash Blossom Joyous Spring. Rather than stop them from their overwhelming number of searches, you can use it to prevent taking damage from their reincarnation. And each copy of reincarnation in the form of an FTK from the Dark Moon of Nightmare and 2 copy of Licorice and the Light Stage, that could prevent about 4,000 damage per copy, and that's actually really, really decent. And that definitely puts you in a huge step in towards surviving the FTK. So maybe that's actually a better way to use it, or you can stop it from a Pot of Desires. It's up to you how to you use it, but I think it's actually a pretty decent card for you guys to even consider. And another really good card for you to have to survive the burn FTK is to have a copy of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Now note that the girls, of course, they do not trigger. If they did trigger, you just destroy them, that'd be really nice. But since they don't trigger, their continuous burn will go off once each on the girls, and the Trickstar Light Stage will go off twice, giving you 4 individual burn damages. And the 4 individual burn damages combined with the Dark Room of Nightmare, and there's also 2 reincarnation in the back. The burn damage will be 4 times, so that will be 4 triggers on the Dark Room of Nightmare. That burns you additional 300 per chain, and that is 1200 damage. So the very first draw you take is 2000 worth of damage. Now having Ghost Ogre, you can just ditch it, and since it is a continuous spell, it needs to stay face up to actually resolve the effect properly. Yeah, so you don't take any of the burn damage, so you prevent yourself from taking the 12. And since there's 2 more draw cards available, the amount of damage you prevent is another 24, so a total of 36 damage prevented, but their total burn usually pushes for about 10,000 damage approximately. So you do survive with about 2,400 life points left. Why 24, not 16? It's because you did lose a card in your hand, so the reincarnation aren't burning as much, saving you a ton of life actually. So you'll survive with 2,400. You'll actually be taking about 5,600 worth of burn damage if they use 2 reincarnation. But you do survive, giving you enough wiggle room to actually counter your opponent, and normally they expend their entire hand doing this burn combo against you. So if you have a board right here, this is perfect. But if you actually get it later, there's no point. If you take the initial 2,000 damage and then your opponent gives you the Ghost Ogre from the redraw cards, it's a bit too late. Just because you survive with about 400 life and the 2 Licorice is still on the field, therefore the moment you end your turn and you can't kill off the 2 girls, you're already dead. Yeah, so that's a bit unfortunate. And for the final set of cards that are very good against this deck and this combo is to have Twin Twisters. Twin Twisters minimizing your hand by about 2 cards in general, and also forces them to chain everything. If you have Twin Twisters plus a Forbidden Chalice, that usually works out in your favor because you actually can knock off half the damage. What I mean by that is, if you activate Twin Twister, minimizing your hand by another 2 cards, so you have 4 cards in your hand with a Chalice, so you have a 3-card hand to do a combo, which is more than enough these days. What happens is, you play Twin Twister, you ditch a card in your hand, and then you target 2 of the cards in their back, preferably the 2 that are face down, the reincarnations, whatever it is. Yeah, so if you do have the reincarnations, and then they'll be forced to chain both, well, they already activate 1 copy, or they chain both copies, then you play Chalice on one of the Licorice, therefore cutting off about 5,000 damage. That's huge. That's like a lot of damage prevented, and now you survive with a lot of life. And because they couldn't even burn you that much with the reincarnation, you basically get a little free pass of playing for the rest of the turn. So that actually really helps out. And that's about the last thing I have for surviving this FTK. I can't really do anything about the hand ripping combo because that is very hard to prevent, and that's not even monster related. It's related to a hand trap, and if they do it for turn 1, what are you going to do exactly? So aside from that, that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed this video, well, hit me up with a thumbs up. If you want to see more stuff from MST.TV, please hit that subscribe button. If you got other ways to survive the FTK, leave it down in the comment section below. Share with your peers here, share with the community. I would really appreciate that. And until next time, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job, and you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.